They say your home is supposed to be your safe place, a place where you can breathe, relax, and finally feel at peace. But what happens when the person who holds the keys to that home is the one making it a nightmare? My name is Rachel, and for nearly a year I lived in fear. Not because of crime, not because of my neighbors, but because of the man who was supposed to be my landlord. It started with what looked like routine visits. A knock here, a quick inspection there. He'd let himself in to check the smoke detectors or measure for repairs. But nothing ever changed. No new blinds, no repairs, just his eyes darting around my apartment like he was cataloging my life. Then the messages began. Rachel, your rent's late. I sat up in bed, blinking at my phone. My rent had cleared days earlier. I replied with a screenshot of the payment. No response. Half an hour later. Don't ignore me. You know what happens if you do. My heart pounded. I stared at the screen, wondering if I should call the police. But what would I even say? My landlord texted me? They'd laugh me off. The next night, another buzz. Noise complaints again. You should be more respectful. I lived alone. I hadn't made a sound. I typed back, there's no noise. I'm sleeping. His reply came instantly. Liar. Every vibration of my phone made my chest tighten. My apartment didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a trap. Then came the notices. One evening, I returned to a letter taped to my door. Notice of lease violation. Unauthorized pet. My stomach dropped. I didn't own a pet. Never had. I stormed to his office. He leaned back, smirking. Maybe you forgot to mention something? His tone made my skin crawl. Days later, a bill arrived for $250 in maintenance fees for plumbing repairs I never requested. When I refused to pay, another notice slid under my door. Failure to comply will result in eviction. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the hallway made me sit up. Every shadow under the door looked like his feet. At one point, I thought I heard a key turning in the lock. I grabbed a kitchen knife and sat frozen on the couch until sunrise. The worst was coming home to muddy footprints on my carpet. A window cracked open. A vase smashed. Nothing stolen. Just moved. My sweater, left draped on a chair, was now folded neatly on my bed. It wasn't robbery. It was a message. I can come and go whenever I want. When I confronted him, my voice shaking, he chuckled. Why would I want to be in your apartment? You think you're that interesting? That laugh, it hollowed me out. The harassment was bad enough, but what almost broke me was the reaction from my family. When I first called my mom, voice trembling, she listened carefully. Then she said, Sweetheart, maybe you're just stressed. Why don't you come stay with us? Get away from that place. Mom, I can't just leave, I snapped. That's what he wants. If I go, he'll just do it to someone else, she sighed. Rachel, you always make things harder than they need to be. Just move out and be done with it. Her words stung worse than his threats. When I told my brother, he laughed bitterly. You're overreacting. Every landlord is annoying. Just pay the stupid fees and keep your head down. Why do you always stir drama? Drama. That word clung to me like poison. After finding my fridge unplugged and food spoiled, I broke down and called my dad. Please believe me. He's doing this on purpose. Silence, then his heavy voice. Rachel, I don't like this, but I don't want you getting hurt. Please just come home. Don't make this worse. Tears blurred my vision. They didn't get it. This wasn't just about me. If I left, he'd pick another tenant. Maybe someone weaker. Someone who couldn't fight back. I'm not running, Dad, I whispered. Not this time. They thought I was stubborn, reckless, maybe even foolish. But I knew the truth. Walking away would hand him another victim. So I stayed. I bought a notebook and started documenting everything. Every message, every notice, every unannounced visit. Dates, times, photos, screenshots. A neighbor on the third floor eventually knocked on my door, eyes wide with fear. "He's doing it to me, too," she whispered, handing me a fake eviction notice identical to mine. From there, the stories poured out. Illegal rent hikes, deposits never returned, midnight inspections, even threats. He wasn't a bad landlord. He was a predator in plain sight. I handed my logbook to the tenant rights board. The investigator flipped a few pages, then said, "Rachel, this isn't just harassment. This is criminal." The hearing day arrived. I almost didn't go in. My stomach twisted as I asked myself, have you ever felt like walking away would be easier, even when you know you're right? That question nearly broke me. But I couldn't give him that win. Inside, tenants filled the benches. My family slipped into the back row, tense, skeptical. The landlord strolled in with his lawyer, smug as ever. Testimonies rolled in. Stolen deposits, forged notices, surprise inspections. His lawyer objected at every turn. When my name was called, I walked forward, clutching my logbook. "Ms. Alvarez," the lawyer began. "Isn't it true you have a personal grudge against my client?" "No," I said. "I have a record," he smirked. "Screenshots can be fabricated." "I brought originals," I replied, handing over carrier logs, bank confirmations, inspector statements. His face twitched. Then came the dagger. "Didn't you plant those cameras yourself?" Gasps rippled through the room. But the inspector rose. "Your Honor, those cameras were hardwired into the building's breaker panel. They were purchased through an LLC controlled by the defendant." The landlord's face drained of color. The lawyer tried one last shot. If tenants felt unsafe, why didn't they just move? I looked at the judge. Because leaving doesn't stop a predator. It just gives him a new victim. The judge slammed the gavel. The ruling was swift. Thousands in fines, rental license revoked, criminal referral, properties seized for management review. The room didn't cheer. It exhaled, a collective release of fear. I turned. My mother's eyes were wet. My brother looked away, ashamed. Walking out into the sunlight, I felt different. Not free yet, but seen. My phone buzzed. It was my mom. Her voice cracked. "Rachel, we were wrong. You were right to fight." And for the first time in months, I cried tears of relief. Here's what I want you to take away. If you've ever been made to feel powerless by a landlord, a boss, anyone who abuses their authority, you are not as powerless as you think. The truth is a weapon. Documentation is a weapon. And courage, even when it feels like you have none left, is a weapon. Maybe your villain wasn't a landlord. Maybe it was your boss who mocked you in front of coworkers. Maybe it was a partner who tracked your phone. Maybe it was even a family member who always made you feel small. The details change. The pattern doesn't. Someone abuses power. Someone suffers in silence. Until one person finally says, enough. So ask yourself, have you ever stayed quiet because you thought speaking up would make things worse? Have you convinced yourself the abuse wasn't bad enough to fight? Have you told yourself silence was easier? Easy for who? Bullies don't stop because we stay quiet. They stop when we shine a light they can't outrun. I didn't just get my home back. I got myself back. And because I refuse to walk away, someone else will never have to live my story in silence.